Hello, Hoomans. It is I, Numa Guy, and welcome everyone, especially a warm welcome to YouTube, as this is going to be my very first ever YouTube exclusive content. That's right, this is not streamed, this is not recorded live, this is recorded for you and only you, dear YouTube videos? Viewers. Also, if your video's watching this, that's cool too, but I don't discriminate. You know, do what you gotta do. This is actually my second recording of this very first episode because in all things I do, I have auspicious beginnings. Very strong, solid starts. Because I recorded the entire first episode muted. And I was debating, oh, should I just voice over this episode? Like, you know what? Just restart it. Go back from scratch, from position A, back to the beginning, restart the video, all okay. Pretend like it didn't happen. Pretend like you did everything beautifully. And now I'm checking, like 5 times checking here. I am not muted, so I should be good to go. I decided to play some Kerbal Space Program because if you are a fan of the stream, there is a wonderful clip of me watching me watch my Kerbal crash in an airplane. It's a great clip. Fantastic. I'll probably have it posted right here. All right, let's go.
You gotta do the pose when you boost this up.
Is there a different pose? Yeah, okay, so we're gonna do this.
Well, I have the same pose here. Okay, different pose. Oh, you want to do different pose? Sorry, Numa.
I lost rockets.
It's fine. It's fine. Nothing can possibly go wrong.
I was talking to you there, King, by the way. I don't know if you're still in chat. I think you left.
It's painful every time.
No, Lori.
It does not get old. It does not get old.
Absolutely not fine, guy.
It does not get old.
He is indeed laughing a blast ball there.
Yeah, you know, it's just so cringy. And I'm not only just playing Kerbal Space Program there, I'm playing Kerbal Space Program Realism Overhaul mod slash Realistic Progression mod. And it is quite fun. And my original stream goal was to stream me going to the moon and back, all in like very close to realistic space science. Okay, it's not 100% realistic because it doesn't have object to object microgravity, but you know, as close as I could get without making it too complex for me. I'm making it too complex for, you know, the poor computer. Spare a thought for the computer, you know. But no, I think RPO is a good, very hard, very realistic enough simulation that's fine as it is for my levels of Kerbal Space Program anyways. But I never made it to the moon. Never made it. So I figured, why don't we do a YouTube exclusive version of me going to the moon? The reason why I never went to the moon is because the pressure of being live, making sure everything goes well correctly, have everything like I only have like the 4-hour lifetime window. It's kind of long. It became more and more of a drag to do it live. But if I can do it on YouTube, where I can make time lapses, I can condense the content, I can skip through the boring stuff. I think this is fantastic for YouTube setting. So I want to make this my very first YouTube exclusive content. I hope you guys enjoy this. Let's go ahead and start the game. We're gonna keep it at the medium normal difficulty because I'm not the greatest. So I think a good old normal difficulty is fantastic. Actually, let's change flag. How about we change flag? What goes well? What is this? Jebediah's Jebs, like Jebs. Ionic's with a pretty cool logo as well. The little rover's cute. You know what? We're going to the moon. Let's go to flag planting. Our mission here is to solely go to the moon. If we do things beyond that, that's great. Because that means I love Kerbal Space Program still after making it to the moon and back. If not, made to the moon, that's our flag, that's our goal, that's our logo. Let's start it off. All right, so right off the bat, we know a couple of things here. first thing we notice here is the year 1951, January 1st. And it basically is the rough start of the space race between the US and USSR. So we are, let's see how close we are to the actual reality. My guess is that we're gonna be very, very far off. If you looked on stream, we were like in the 1970s and we only just managed to do a lunar flyby. So probably not gonna get on brand on time for that space race, but we can see how close we are to reality. Here's a list of our good old initial astronauts. I don't think I'm gonna be using very many of them. Actually, I think we can probably fire a whole bunch of them. Maybe they cost us money. Let's just keep them anyways. Who cares? We hired them. Might as well keep them hired. Click that OK on that one. And thanks. We can go away, buddy. As you notice right here, we have the build list because RP/RO tries to mimic as much as possible real life. That includes having build times for your vessels. That includes having research time for your technology. So not only did you have the science to be able to build your technology, you also need the time and money invested in that technology to therefore unlock it. The things are not instant in this version of the mod. So if we want to put some upgrades to upgrade either our vehicle assembly building or our research development. As you can tell, there's also no space plane hangar because the space plane build queue and the rocket build queues are basically on the same queue. So either we want to build a plane or we want to build a rocket. You can't do both, at least not in the very beginning. Now we only have a singular build queue. And newsflash, unless, that clip I showed you guys, I'm not the greatest at building space planes. Even in vanilla Kerbal Space Program, they're quite complex, quite annoying, quite complicated. I think I'll stick around with what my rocket, which is not, I'm not expert in this game, by the way. If you're here for some quality KSP, RP, RO content, sorry, wrong guy. If you're here for the funnies and for watching me fail miserably and maybe succeed once in a while, then you're in the right place. So right off the bat, we got 50,000 buckaroons. It's not doing anything in our pockets right now. It's just burning a hole in there. Let's burn that cash and spend it all into upgrade points. We're not going to invest much into research development because, as you notice, we have no science points. Therefore, we can't even research anything. So we're going to go and dump it all into our vehicle assembly building to increase our rocket speed construction a la max. All right, that's done. Let's go ahead and accept our first contract to get into space. So as you can see here in RPO, we have tons of contracts we can do. And these are like subcontracts, like human exploration, badam. Space station contracts, badam, all these little substations, subheaders here. We want the milestone. I think just by looking at this should unlock itself. Yeah, it's already unlocked. So now I have all the parts needed for our constructions of our ships from our mods without actually doing any unlocking ourselves. All automatic. Just to look at this upgrade. We'll take the contract for the first launch. Congratulations on starting a new space program. For your first mission, you should launch your first vessel. Design and build a vessel, roll it out to the pad, and stage off. So all we have to do, we have like I don't think there's a time limit on this one. No, there's no time limit. But all we gotta do is get a acceleration of 50 meters per second, which should be honestly easy. Or not acceleration, but accelerate to 50 meters per second of speed. And have a 1,000 meters off the ground, which again, gonna be pretty easy. Actually, our first rocket might actually make it into space. It depends really. Maybe our rocket won't make it into space. It'll be just very shy. Because the thing is that this mod also has realistic, with quotation marks, of engine breakdowns. There's always a chance that your engine breaks down. No matter how good you get at it, there might be a chance that your engine decides to, you know what? 5 seconds after takeoff? Nah, I'm not gonna work. Cut the cord. We're not working no more. Crash and burn. Crash and burn this mother. Burned! Oh, I really shouldn't swear. This is for YouTube. Crash and burn this. Burned! But the more you launch your vessels, the more reliable you get. And more reliable you get, the more it's a chance of success of like launching your vessel without having any kind of crashing going on. So we might maybe if things don't go right, we might not make it to space. But if things do go right, and I hope they do, we'll make it to space and then just come right back down. So we'll get a ton of, you'll see a ton of contracts will be accepted, like bam, automatically accepted, automatically done. Look, you hit the milestone, you've reached so-and-so height, you reached so-and-so speed, had this cash, thank you very much, good day. So our very first rocket. Let's start off with the not the avionics. We don't want to have procedural anything for right now. Well, we do want some procedurals, but if we can avoid procedurals, let's avoid it. Let's go ahead and get the whack corporal, because I believe that has the proper diameter for our rocket, which is 0.3, because it also matches the engines. Next thing we're gonna do now, we're gonna add some procedural tank, the conventional structure, not the service module. This is what we need for putting fuel in there. I go ahead and put that in. We're gonna put that down diameter to 0.3 or 300 millimeters. There we are. And we're gonna copy that and put it above. For the top section, we're gonna want a cone. I think there's a smooth cone, there we are. The bottom, 0.3 diameter, and the top, a good old 0. And I think you can also make this a nice and sharp edge. There we are. So as to be as aerodynamic as possible, because especially for this first vessel, we want to go as high as we can. We want to have minimal drag being brought on our vessel as we pass the sound barrier and go very fast in atmosphere. Go ahead and slap on a engine, which is going to be the Aerobee. There she is. Look at that, nice and flush. And if you notice the Aerobee, it says here that the Aerobee is pressure fed, has one ignition, and subject to ullage. What pressure fed means is that we need to change the tanks of these tanks to be not just the standard tank, but be high pressured. Because the high pressure will allow us to feed the proper fuel at the proper rate we require. But if you notice, why we don't always high pressure everything, because high pressure comes with a substantial mass increase. If we look at the mass when empty, where do you see that? Mass when dry. Bam. Versus mass when wet. Well, mass when dry, sorry. Bam. 0.9. Go from 3.7 kilograms to a solid 9 kilograms. The reason for this, because if you have high pressure in a container, your container walls need to be thicker to survive the pressure. Because otherwise, it might crumple due to the pressure, or it might deform, or even worse, break, thereby like nullifying the whole fact that it's pressurized. So it's nice to have a nice, consistent pressure tank. You need to have a slightly thicker walled, which means more mass. We're gonna do a high pressure for both these guys. Boom, boom. All right, and if you notice here, in the tank UI, excuse you. Oh, there you go. I guess it was at the replace again. We have the proper fuel mixture for our engine, because every engine is a little different, a little unique, just like in real life. We need the exact amount of mixture of fuel and oxidizer and whatever agents so that we can properly burn our fuel. If you look through this tank UI, there is a ton of different components you can put in that, and only some are very useful for your rockets. So they're both full, fantastic, good to hear, good to know. And if we look here, actually before I do that, get out of here. I want to look at the FAR, set off to transonic design, and tick off these cross sections here. Boom, boom, boom. We want, as you can see, we're not super aerodynamic. We want these lines here to be as close to each other as possible and as smooth with the green line as possible. So as you can see, we're a little bit non-stably aerodynamic here. So that's gonna be a little bit of a problem. But you'll see as we make this nice, long, and narrow, these lines will get closer and closer and it'll be a nice, beautiful, smooth curve. As smooth as you can get anyways. So if we look at our engine now, as I was saying, it mimics real life. And sometimes engines don't last forever. They're not designed to last forever. They're designed to burn the rate they're meant for. And then if it lasts longer, great. If it doesn't, it wasn't designed for that. So here in this menu here, you'll see that our rated burn time is 47 seconds. That means that after 47 seconds, it's not going to shut off itself. It just means that there's going to be a higher and higher chance, and every second further, the chance gets higher and higher of it breaking down and stopping. This engine is designed to reliably, in quotation marks, because it might break before then, burn for 47 seconds, and after that, bring fuel at your own risk, because this is the worst thing in the world in rocket science to bring fuel, to bring excess fuel. You want to have just enough fuel, the right amount of fuel to burn through entirely, and bring nothing in excess. Because the more fuel you bring, that's the more weight you're adding, and the bigger ship you're making. So it makes everything more complex, bigger, heavier, and heavier is bad for going far in space. In reality, I think, if I understand correctly, we actually have 52 seconds. There's always 5 seconds of extra burn time adding to the engine. I don't know why it doesn't tell you straight up 52 seconds, but maybe it does now. But as far as I understood it, you have 5 seconds extra. So we're gonna look at 52 seconds, but actually we kind of want a little bit more, because we want to try pushing this tin can as far into space as we can. So we're gonna look for a nice round minute. So we are gonna be bringing 8 seconds of potential useless fuel, but maybe 8 seconds of extra fuel that'll be even better for a rocket. If I open up mech jab here, the B stats, there you go, that's what I wanted. We can see the rated fuel, the rated burn time we have of our current fuel. We want to increase these tanks. I want these tanks to be about the same size. Let's bring us up to, I think 2 meters will do a good trick. Look at this curve getting nice and smoother as we make it longer and narrower. Well, not narrower, but nice and long. Now we're in comparison to the length, I suppose. And this also 2 meters. All right, we're 50 seconds. So I think 2 pushes should bring us to a minute. So 2.2 meters. Okay, actually we can go a little higher. 2.3 meters. 2.4. Okay, how about we go 2.3 and a half? We do want the same exact time. Come on, there we go. Same here. Well, 2.35 meters. That gives just under a minute. That's totally fine. We're already going over our rated burn time, so I don't mind that whatsoever. And look at how much smooth that curve is. The reason being is because as we're piercing through the air, this nice little pointy narrow cone will deflect most of the air around us, so we're no longer aerodynamically unstable. However, if by the off chance the wind hits us at a certain angle and then it tilts our rocket, now we're pointing in the wrong direction, it's gonna make everything terrible. You can't just fly a rocket in the atmosphere expecting to go straight, because it won't, because a little nudge from something will make us spin out of control terribly. What you want is you want fins to stabilize yourself. Let's go ahead and add some beautiful procedural wings. Let's add 4 of them. Boom. A little big, that's okay. What these wings will do is that it will cause a little bit of drag once we get it all down to the proper size and whatnot, but it'll keep making sure that the rocket stays true on the true path, pointing as close to up as we can. Let's go ahead. If you press J while hovering over the part, we get this beautiful fine tuner select thingamajig here. But we don't want this to be pretty small. Probably below 1. Yeah, I think 0.3 is a perfectly fine length for our wings. We now want as small as a width as possible. We don't want 0. I don't want any weird math to happen. Yeah, 0.3. 0.3? No, I want it even smaller. I want it even smaller. I think we got... If I maybe just drag this. Right click, as I did last time, right? Oh, wait. No. From 0. Yeah, there you go. Same thing for this width. And same thing for the thickness as well. You're not like that. Can I get you? Okay. 0.03. I'm happy with that. Boom. All right. The next thing we want is we want a nice swept wing. What that'll do is that'll reduce the amount of drag and make us more aerodynamic. As you can see, these things get narrower. So the more swept you are, the better it is. That's pretty swept, actually. That might be a little too much, because you still want it to keep ourselves stable, right? So if you don't want it too swept, because I just said the more swept you are, the better is for aerodynamics. But you do want it to stick out enough so that it keeps us on the nice true path. I think at 0.4, 0.45, that is perfectly fine enough. The one thing we want to make sure is that these wings don't go below your engine, because if they go below your engine, they might interfere. The engine thrust might interfere with your path. We do want to as close as possible to that. So I'm gonna go ahead. Here's the bottom of the engine. Boom. Oops. Let's bring these four just before it passes through the engine there. There you go. That should be beautiful. Hopefully it should be beautiful. And that is basically the main launch vessel. Ancient Butte. We're not done yet though, because we do want... So we talked about ullage very briefly, right? We didn't talk about it much. If you look back into the engines here, can I pin you? Yeah. We're gonna talk about pressure fed. We only have one ignition, so once we burn, we can't turn it off, otherwise we're gonna waste our fuel. But what is ullage? Basically, whenever you're filling a container with liquid, so think of a water bottle. You're filling your water bottle with liquid. You put your tap on, and it's gonna be it's doable to do without this happening. But in the vast majority of cases, you're gonna have at least a little bit of air trapped in your water bottle. It's gonna be a nice little air bubble in your water bottle, and this is really bad. It can interfere with your burn. When your engine has to have a constant supply of the right exact amount of fuel and oxidizer, you don't want any air bubbles interfering with you. So when you're on the ground, that's not a problem, because you're on the ground. Gravity doesn't work for you. It brings the liquid to the bottom, which is where your engine is. You're sweet, you're perfect, don't sweat it. But if you're in space, when there is no gravity to affect you, the air bubble can be anywhere. Or if even worse, you're still on the Earth, so you have gravity, but suddenly your acceleration changes direction. That air bubble is going to change directions completely. If you're going from going up to falling, now you're accelerating downwards. Air bubble's going to go straight down, right into your engine. Turn it off. No longer functional. So to make sure that the ullage, the air bubble is always on the top of your tank, you need an upward thrust at all times. And to ensure on launch we have the proper thrust, we're gonna go ahead and add ourselves a solid rocket booster that uses solid fuel, so it doesn't have any ullage problem whatsoever. I'm gonna go ahead and add procedural decoupler. Oh, what did I just do? I added another Aerobee. That's not what I wanted. One engine is more than enough. Thank you very much. Decoupler. Boom. Make this diameter to 0.3 meters, which is the same diameter as our cylinder here, and I believe the same diameter as our Tiny Tim booster. There you go, exactly that. And the same reason we want the fins to be below as well. So I'm gonna copy these fins and post it here with the same exact idea that we don't want it passing the bottom of our engine here. Close as possible. The reason why I want to add more fins here is because if you look at the center of thrust, center of mass, sorry, and these wings, the center of your aerodynamics overlay, I'm not sure what this is called, the center of aerodynamics, you also want this to be below your center of mass. So if we remove these wings, you notice that the blue ball is above the center of mass, and that's going to mean that when you're hitting the air friction, your rocket wants to naturally tilt downwards, and that is the opposite of what we want to do. We want to naturally tilt upwards. Thank you very much. That's why we're adding these fins. Maybe I can just Control Z, so that the blue ball is always sitting below the center of mass. Again, I am not an expert in rocket science. I am not an expert at Kerbal Space Program, so I might have a little bit of the science incorrect, but as far as I understand it, that's how it works. So let's just keep going with that presumption there. And I believe for the most part, this rocket is, oh, you know, I forgot the most important part of this rocket, the science, the reason why we're going to space in the first place. So this rocket isn't going to do like any kind of biological samples or anything. It's going to take the temperature, just want one, the temperature, and the opposite direction is going to take the pressure, the air pressure. Of course, though, this is sticking out, so I'm going to do a little bit something of a little cheat here. Not cheat, but like a little bit of an exploit. We're going to push this in. Before we push it in, we're going to make sure that these things are working at all times. Pressure scan, boom. And while we're here, let's also make sure the telemetry analysis is also always on. Boom. That means on launch, we don't have to worry about turning those things on. They will go on automatically. It is wonderful. It is beautiful. Let us now move this into the rocket to avoid it having any kind of air friction on us. Oh, can we just toggle it to that's not doing the degrees there? Don't want to keep it center with this guy. Keep the mass relatively centered. All these things weigh nothing compared to the fuel. It's just a good habit to have. All right, so I think we are now ready to go. We're just gonna add the final piece, which is the launch pad. The launch clamp, sorry. Boom. And that's the rocket. Before we name it and save it off, let's just rearrange our staging. So we have the launch pad. Great, that should be first. We have the Tiny Tim booster. Great, it should also be first. What should also be first is the Aerobee engine. What we're gonna do is we're gonna do a hot stage, what it's called. We're gonna turn the engine on at the same time as we're gonna turn the booster on. And don't you worry, this booster is only gonna last about a second. It's got a second of burn in it. So it's gonna burn for a whole second, and then the Aerobee will kick in. Well, it'll be already on. We'll destage this, woof, and the Aerobee there, burning its wonderful life, flying high. No wasted time. It'll be beautiful. Because if we burned it in the air, we might have a chance that we accelerate a little bit if we go too slowly, and we like, okay, we lost the dead weight of the booster. Let's turn on the Aerobee, and in that fraction of a time, we might decelerate, causing the ullage to go down to our engine, causing the engine to block off, which is not what we want to have happen. So there you go. That is the Aerobee. Let's name this vessel. We're gonna call it the Pneuma Can, because it's a tin can going straight into space. And then we are going to do one last thing before we launch, before we build this vessel, is if you notice here, the cost to build this is 199 buckaroons, and the build time is 63 days. We're gonna go ahead and tool these tanks, the procedural tanks we built here. Tooled, it's gonna cost us $1,100. Go ahead, and now we're down to 89 bucks and 52 days to build. So why is tooling important? Well, if you picture like building this rocket by hand, if you just have all the material and you build it by hand, it's gonna take you a long time. It's gonna take you a lot of extra money to form the material properly, make sure everything is properly sealed, make sure everything is like the same shape as what you want it to, the exact specification. If you had molds, or if you had like a machine line that did everything for you, which is what the tooling is, it increases time and it increases decreases amount of material you're wasting. However, it does cost money to tool your machines, and I think it costs 10 times the part costs to tool. So effectively, you need to launch this Pneuma Can 10 times to make up for the tooling cost, but it also increases the speed, so you don't really need to have to always be worried about the money factor, because speed is also a factor in this game. You don't want to waste a million years building your rocket when you can build it in like 52 days. So you got to balance costing of your rocket with your speed you want to build it. So generally you always want to tool your objects you have, but that's exactly why we had the same exact length and diameter, or maximum diameter, because in this case this guy has a minimum diameter which is 0 and a max which is 300 millimeters. The same exact length for both tanks, so they're the same for the game as far as it's concerned. It's the same exact tank, so the tooling cost applies to both those tanks. So in actuality, we need to build this rocket 5 times to make up for the tooling we just did, not 10 times. And I don't know if we're going to be launching it 10 times or 5 times, but at least we're going to be launching it 2 times, because in case our rocket decides to not function the first go, we're going to want a second rocket on the backlog. Yes, unlock. That's rocket 1 and rocket 2. There you go. We now have 2 rockets building. Oh, we got to save. Please save. And let's go to the KSP and see where we're at. Alrighty. We are back here in beautiful Cape Canaveral, which is like in Florida, which I think I've been to this, if not the exact station, pretty close when I went to Florida. We went and watched a something launched into space. I don't know, probably a satellite or something. We watched something get shot off into space. It was great. It was fantastic. I absolutely love rocket science, or just like space stuff. It's great. If you look in our vessel list, we have 1 vessel being currently worked on. The other one, of course, we only have 1 build queue. Just sitting around looking pretty. The reason why we have 2 vessels going, well, like I told you before, in case the first vessel crashes, because our engine reliability is not going to be very high. The second reason as well is that when we're rolling it out to the launch pad, it's going to take some time. But that's time that our vehicle assembly building is not building a rocket. Wasted time. So if you can just watch me as I skip time here. We're now ready to roll out the vessel. And now the second rocket is currently being built. It's going to take a solid 10 hours for our current pneumacan to be rolled out to the launch pad. Now, the larger the vessel, the larger the launch pad, the more time it's going to take, the more it's going to cost. This is a very small tin can. It's going to cost us 13 buckaroons. It's only going to cost us 10 hours to roll out this vessel to the launch pad and ready to launch. Let's go ahead and do that, and we'll see you at the launch pad. Alrighty, you beautiful humans. Welcome to our very first launch of the pneumacan. And this guy will into space. I can guarantee you that. Look at his beauty. We didn't colorize it. Oh, we could have totally colored it. Next time. We'll color for next time. But look at this beautiful rocket. It's going to take us nice and true right into the atmosphere. Right above the atmosphere, actually. Hopefully it'll get us to space. So they'll check our staging. We have our clamps. We have our tiny tim. We have our Aerobee at the same time. And then a second later, we're going to press the space bar to decouple the tiny tim and fly off into space. Contract complete because we want text nodes. That was the very beginning. That was the fake contract. This is complete. All right, there you go. As you'll see, as we go flying in the air, we're gonna get a lot of these contracts getting like, yay, you did it! Hooray, you did it! You beat the speed record. You beat the milestone for the height. So we'll get some free cash as we fly up to space. Let's go ahead and throttle up to max and ready to launch in 3, 2, 1. Releasing the booster, and there we go. There we have it. No turning back now. Look at us fly, and nice and true, right into the sun. Boom, beautiful. Screenshot time. Check. Ah, fantastic. And we're gonna cross. I think we've already crossed the sound barrier. Is the sound barrier at 420 meters per second, or is the sound barrier like 420? I like 340. I always forget. For some reason, those numbers in my brain is those numbers exactly, but I'm not too sure what the actual sound barrier is. Might be like 340 or 350, something like that. As we see here, contract completed. Hey, first launch, fantastic. Hey, look at that, an uncrewed speed record of 350 meters. Hooray! Uncrewed altitude record. And so on and so forth. Look at all this beautiful cash we're getting. We've crossed the 1 kilometer per second speed, which is fantastic. Oh, okay, so we did overfuel a little bit. As you can see, our engine's burned out, and we have a little bit extra fuel left in that tank, but that's basically next to nothing. We'll see now what our apoapsis will be. We'll hit the map button. We didn't quite make the space. That might be because we overfueled it. That is a bummer. We are 20 kilometers short of getting to space. That's okay. We'll still get plenty of science just from being above ground here, so I'm not too worried about it. What I will point out here is that science is not instant in this game. It takes time to complete. So if you look at the telemetry analysis, we are currently Earth flying high. That's in the upper atmosphere. I don't think this requires any kind of biome or anything, but it does require 5 minutes of ticking time to get to completion, to get the full value of 2.5 science. So one rocket launch isn't going to get us all that science, which is where having multiple of these sounding rockets will come in very handy for us. For both the telemetry analysis and the thermometer and the barometer, it'll be fantastic. We're just going to speed up time as we get to our apoapsis and start our descent. We're going to ride off all the way to the bottom because we want that beautiful, beautiful science that is currently ticking down. Look at that. We already did half the amount of science required for this telemetry unit. Beautiful. Got more contracts completed. What a fast speed 2 we had. Dang. I thought for sure we'd make it to space, but if not, we'll make it to space for a second rocket, so that's not a big deal. $100 kilometers. Boom. Oh. And we're heading down, and hopefully we don't hit the city, because that'd be kind of dramatic. Sorry, city that is here. I had no idea, because I don't live in the States. Oh, look at that. We just barely missed the city. No one is hurt. Everything is fine. No bombs, no nuclear warheads, explosions. We're A-okay. Let's go back to the tracking station. No, Space Center. That is our very first rocket, launched pretty successfully. Pretty nicely, if I may say so myself. So the reason why we didn't go to space, because the engine cut off before. We burned off all the fuel, so we had extra mass for nothing. We could go ahead and tweak our currently owned vessel here, but I think that on a second chance, we might have a more successful launch. So we might have a rocket actually get to those heights. We will see. I will put my faith in it. Either way, we're going to go ahead and duplicate this. Boom. Then we have another rocket. We're going to launch a third one of these rockets. And I think at that point, we'll be moving on to something bigger after the third one. Let's go mission control though, because we did complete our mission. We did launch a vessel. That was all we had to do. Was launch a vessel. It was completed. We got tons of cash, nearly 50,000 cash, which is fantastic. We have now this mission to get to the Kármán line. The Kármán line, which we've already done, past the 100 kilometers with the uncrewed craft. Yeah, it gets a good amount of advance and a good amount of completion as well. Let's take that beautiful, beautiful money. And we can take this now because there's no, I don't think there's any expiration date for this guy. The Downrange Milestone basically is how far can you put your rocket out into the Earth? Can we get to 300 kilometers, or 2,000 kilometers? Sorry. It's not gonna be doable with this, or with the current Aerobee, but I think with our second vessel, we might be able to do this. We will see. That's going to be for a second episode, though, so don't worry about that one. I think we're gonna go ahead and accept it. There's no reason not to. I guess if we want to, we could accept some sounding missions, but let's go ahead and accept this for the nice big old cash influx. And instantly spend that cash on upgrading our VAB. Upgrades? Boom, 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 boom. We want it all in our VAB. We could put some points into the research development, but honestly, especially for the beginning of the game, we want, I guess around the 7 points. Our next point we'll put into research development, just to have a good amount of like pumping those rockets out quickly. Because a build rate of 0.19 build points per second, not gonna be enough very quickly. So we already cut our times in half though. Look at that, from 50 to 35. Okay, it's not half, but substantial cut of time here. And we have, if you guys can see, 3.5 science to spend. Let's go ahead and spend that. The first thing we want to spend, for sure, is the post-war rocketry testing. What's going to do is going to give us more rockets to go more further into space, as well as upgrades for our current engines we already have, like the Aerobee here. Go ahead. It's going to take 144 days and 5 hours to complete the research. It'll take a while, but good things we have a couple of like spare rockets to launch during that time. We also want the post-war material science to go, because it will allow us to build thinner tanks. Thinner tanks means less, not just thinner tanks, sorry, from steel tank to aluminum tanks. And I work as a water jet operator, I know that steel is substantially heavier than aluminum. I can tell what metal it is by just picking up being like, oh yeah, that's heavy, that's steel. This weighs like nothing, this weighs like air, that's freaking aluminum, baby. So aluminum tanks are gonna make us way lighter than steel, meaning we can go even further into space because we carry less weight. And the next one we're gonna get is the early tracking system to have the avionics, procedure avionics be lighter as well. We didn't use this for our current rocket, but I think for our next rocket, we want a custom diameter. So we're gonna want the procedural avionics. Let's research that as well. And that's gonna be it for our research points. We're out of research. Well, we have 0.5, it's not gonna get us anything. But as you see here, the tech as well is not gonna tech itself concurrently. It is consecutive. So first we research this one, then this one, then this one. Together we got about a year and a bit of tech to wait. But we'll put 1 point in here and we'll see how much time it takes to do it from there on. I think it's like, oh, it's plus a solid 0.1 or 1.0. No, that's not right. That's not right. From 2.5 to 3.5. I don't think. We'll see. We'll see when we get there. We're gonna go ahead and skip to launch our second vessel to complete our common line contract, and maybe if we can get into space for reals this time. Alrighty, here we are now with our rocket. The sun has just risen, and we are ready to head off into space for sure. 100%. No doubt about it. Nothing can possibly go wrong here. Throttling up. Ready to launch in 3, 2, 1. Boom. Boom. Let's frickin' go. As we're flying off into space. And hopefully this time we can make it fast enough and our engines won't burn out. Make it to space. Also, it could have been a reason why we didn't make it to space last time is that we held on to those boosters a little bit too long last time. Or not long enough, because there's always a little bit of thrust at the end, but it's such a small amount of thrust that's just better off to let go of that dead weight than have it hang on to you. While your Aerobee does nothing, because it can't burn while the freaking... Well, it's burning, but it can't push you while the boosters are on. Later on, when we have like inline boosters, maybe we can have them hang on till the last juice is gone. But when they're like back to back, it's best to let them go when they're no longer needed. Okay, look at that. Oh, once again, we burned out before we finished our fuel. So maybe we should reduce our fuel next time. Let's see. Yeah, okay, we got a bit of extra air, but not enough for space. So we're going to go ahead and reduce the amount of fuel we have on our ship so that we actually make it into space this time. I'm going to go ahead and warp and crash in. Oh, we did complete a contract for the... oh, there you go. Our telemetry is completed. We did complete our contract for the Karma line right here. 100 meters in the air. 100 meters. 100 kilometers in the air. Boom. Extra juice for ourselves. Fantastic. Now the contract actually made 220 kilometers, which we didn't do last time. We got so close, but yet so far. And we're not going to crash back down into Earth. Hopefully miss the city again. Maybe not. Doesn't do anything for us to hit the city. It's just kind of funny. Like, oh yeah, we didn't plan the fact that, you know, the Earth turns as we fly straight into the air. So we land slightly off of where we started. Oops. Who would have thunk the Earth turns, huh? I never. We're pretty dead center here. Straight for that city. Sorry, suburbs. Sorry, swampland. Maybe we'll kill a gator while we're down there. Just barely missed the city. Look at that. Sploosh. Right into the swamp. To the Space Center. Alrighty, we are back. And we are much richer than last time. And we got tons of science as well. Let's go ahead and back into the research center and unlock more science tech. We're gonna go ahead and spend this science, not on other, because this is 7. This is 2, but instead of building another rocketry, we're gonna go ahead and unlock the early solid rocket engines. All the 1 tech, effectively. We might as well also unlock the supersonic plane development. I don't think we're gonna touch this, but we might as well unlock it. Why the heck not? We get better wings, I guess. Let's go for it. Boom. Okie doke. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend my money on upgrading again. Except this time I'm not going to spend that all on upgrading. We're going to go ahead and click it twice. So I still have $20,000 left for upgrades. I'm going to put 1 into science. Okay, it's a 0.3 increase. 1 into science. And 1 into the VAB. Fantastic. Looking at our tech, instead of taking 144 days, now it'll take 128 days, which is a lot faster. Honestly, it's a lot faster. We're gonna go ahead and clone. No, we're not gonna clone. We're gonna go ahead and edit this because we've seen our rocket burn out twice before. I'm sure that now that we have the proper experience, we can probably burn all the way up. But you know what? We're gonna go ahead and reduce the amount of fuel in this rocket, just a smidge, because we're just carrying a little bit too much. If you look at our mass that we have 0.639 tons. Almost nice. That 3 is in the way. You know, when you hear the words, the numbers 6 and 9 back to back, you're just like, you automatically go, nice. But so close, so close. We're gonna go ahead and reduce the utilization of this tank by a little bit. So we could decrease the tank size, but by decreasing the tank size, we risk not being compliant with our tooling anymore. If you look at our tooling, we have this exact diameter, this exact length. I think it can deviate a little bit, but not too much. So we're sadly still gonna have extra weight from the actual high pressure tank. But that's my bad for over designing this, for designing it with too much fuel to burn. That is my bad there. Let's reduce this utilization to, like, I don't know. Oh, you know what we didn't do? We didn't set priority for the tanks. That's bad. So ideally we want the bottom tank to empty before the top tank, so that we're aerodynamically stable most of the time. Let's do that now. So the bottom priority should be higher. Boom. So now the bottom tank will empty out first, and then the top tank will empty out afterwards. That is my bad. Oopsie day. Hopefully that should fix itself. Let's bring us down to, I don't know, man. 69% utilization. 69. We've already lost 0.02 tons, which is a lot when you go a long way. We said the ideal was 52 seconds for burn rate. 54 seconds. That should be fine. Let's keep it as it is there, and hopefully this one here will make it to space. I'm crossing my fingers that we'll get there. Like I said, I never was perfect at this kind of game, but I will try my best. Let's save the edits. And then we're gonna go ahead and duplicate this. And once again, I will see you at the launch of our vessel. Actually, we'll check to see if we have any contracts first. All right. Reach suborbital trajectory and return. We're not gonna be able to do this one. Not yet. Not yet. But once we get the new technology unlocked, we can do this for sure. We gotta slap some parachute on. We'll be fine. We can't even get to suborbital in the first place, so like forget about it right now. You want to add a parachute too? Not enough strength yet. Not yet. Some sounding rockets. We're going to add some weight. Yeah, a payload of 65 units, and reach a height we've never been before. A little difficult. Whereas adding a lot of weight, but reaching a height we've definitely overachieved. That could be doable, but not right now. The payoff is worth it. Although it is small, it's something that's better than nothing. We're not gonna accept any contracts for now. We're just gonna go ahead and I'll see you on the launch pad. All right, Hoomans, welcome back to the launch pad. And with this third vessel, can we get to space? Let's hope. Third time's the charm, they say. After all, we can make it. I'm hoping we can make it. I'll look really bad if I can't make it to space. Here we go. And I'll probably fast forward this part for you guys. I'll watch the same exact boring scenery. every single time with the same exact same rocket. We'll fast forward it. Alrighty, so here we are, back. Our engines have stopped. I'm surprised we still have some fuel left in our tanks. I'm very confused by this. Are we just getting like unlucky? I'm sure it tells us why. A flame out, yeah. That's just natural. Alright. Alright, we'll see how far we have to go. Ah! That's worse than our last attempts. So clearly removing the fuel was not the solution. And we should have added more fuel. Wowza. Wowza, wowza, wowza. So close, yet oh so far. Alright. Well, we gave it our best shot. It's no big deal. We will see each other on the next episode, where we'll be going on doing more contracts and hopefully get into space. We'll build another rocket type, and we'll see how that goes. Hey, thanks for watching the first episode of KSP I posted here on YouTube. If you have any suggestions, or if you have any idea of what went wrong with my rocket, if you think you know how to fix my rocket to make it go to space, because I know it has the ability to go to space, there's something wrong there with what I've done, let me know down in the comments below. If you like the video, then give it a like. It helps get this video out to reach out more people, and more people can enjoy the fun times we have together. And hey, if you want to see more content, go ahead and click subscribe. I post VODs quite often here for my Twitch channel. Or if you just want to see, me live, twitch.tv/Numa_guy. That's where I'll be. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Peace.